Bytes, week 3 of our weekly lives in the month of October. I'm joined again by James and Gary. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great.
October's a great month. Let's go.
All right. Today we're talking top tech. So technology that either exists or is coming soon, or theories that get one of us or all three of us nerding out just a little bit. And then towards the end, we'll talk about holiday gifts for the tech junkies in your life. I'll kick us off with top tech. One of the things that I've been reading into and have liked a lot, it's called Spin Launch. James, you hadn't yet. Gary, have you heard of Spin Launch, the rockets? So it is a way to cut down by almost 10 times the cost of sending satellites and equipment into space. So on average, it costs over $10 million to send a traditional rocket up into space. And these guys say they can do it for about $500,000.
Whoa.
Now, the way that it works is it's this big vacuum chamber that's in the shape of a cylinder, and it has a little exit tube on it. And in the middle is basically a centrifuge. And you attach a rocket to an arm and you spin it, get it up to 5,000 miles an hour and let it go so it shoots out the tube and up into space.
Wow.
Pretty simple concept, incredibly hard to execute, because if you're off by a millisecond on that release, then it hits the inside of the chamber and explodes and ruins everything. The other thing is they can't send people in this.
I don't want to send a person
I double check this number because it seemed like an exaggeration, but it is. It pulls almost 10,000 Gs, and it takes what is it, like around 10 Gs to kill a person? So maybe a little bit more than that, but either way, it would kill any people almost instantly. So you can't send people, but for sending full-on satellites up, or
I think even some equipment would struggle with the 10,000 Gs.
And that was a lot of pushback, but a lot of them swear that a lot of the satellites and everything, the equipment can handle it being spun like that.
Right.
Really cool. The buildings look pretty neat. It is just a cylinder with a little tube sticking out of it. They've got one facility, maybe two now. And yeah, they're still in the testing phase, obviously, but to send stuff up into space for a tenth of the cost,
it's
pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty simple concept. Execution is very different, but it's a simple concept. Yeah.
Like Elon Musk would be all over that one.
Right. Exactly.
He loves that kind of stuff.
And there was another topic I think, James, you had mentioned, was Starlink.
Yeah. Internet for everyone, right? That's really been coming rapidly. Elon kind of headed this up with the Starlink project. For those who aren't familiar, this is a low orbit array of satellites. My son actually called me up a couple weeks ago and was like, "Dad, the weirdest thing as I was leaving for work, looked up in the sky and there was this trail of lights that he saw." And I'm like, "That's Starlink." So it's an array of satellites in low orbit that sometimes show up during sunset or sunrise, just before, just after. And they're providing internet for folks, and they're doing it across the world in areas where you can't normally get internet. So, and some other companies are actually following suit as well. I saw that Google is attempting to use hydrogen balloons for their solution. Amazon gave up the drone thing, I read. But yeah, this is a big thing.
Facebook doing like the giant kind of glider approach?
I don't
know. Just fly super high, and it would just be self-sustaining, just float basically.
It was big solar-powered planes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does your audio sound weird to me? Your audio sounds pretty strange to me.
Yeah, you sound
robotic, Gary. Sorry.
It's all part of the theme.
Okay, it's working for me. I like it. It sounds very technical. But yeah, I think that's coming pretty soon. Internet for everyone, everywhere, and for people like in recreational vehicles or who are backpacking. Right? Not that I want to get phone calls when I'm out backpacking in the middle of nowhere, but I'll have the option to, I don't know, stream Netflix out in the middle of the wilderness, perhaps. So we'll see what comes. But I think that's a real thing, and I think there's some value in that. There's a bunch of discussions around what happens with all the space junk up there, and what happens when all those satellites fall from the sky. Like I know something like 40 of them have fallen, and I know China was complaining about that. But the idea of internet for everyone, everywhere, is still a very valid tech, I believe, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I am interested to see how that affects astronomy. Any ground-based telescopes and things like that. Once Starlink hits full force, which is upwards of 20,000 satellites is what they are wanting, then yeah, anytime you get your enthusiast even who's trying to take pictures of the Milky Way, things like that, or running these massive telescopes, then you're going to have light streaks through everything that you do because of it. So there is always give and take like anything else, but it is a pretty cool
Good point.
concept to have internet for everybody.
Is my audio any better?
Yeah,
Much.
I'm good now.
Good. So talking about future tech, still on our theme. Look, we're gonna do a deep dive on this later at some point, but we might as well bring it up because we're here, and I've been nerding out about it since the original days of Between the Bytes, 4 or 5 years ago, where we would talk about AI almost every episode, because marketers love the term AI, the media loves to put the term AI in headlines, but is AI actually coming to impact our lives? What can we anticipate? Again, we'll explore it more in future episodes, but I do want to tease out that AI, and whether it's true AI or not, maybe it's just a learning something, that an if this then that algorithm, whatever it is. But as a fun example of ways that AI is getting used more and more, I was talking to a buddy yesterday who started working for a new startup whose whole thing is using AI and just predictive algorithms, whatever you want to call it, to get voice input from patients, and from that diagnose certain kinds of diseases, which I thought was really cool. A key example is Alzheimer's. And again, I don't know the medical and the technical details, but there are certain patterns, there are certain ways of speaking. And the example he uses, like if you get on a call with your spouse, you almost immediately know if something's off or something's wrong. And it might just be emotional, but there might be other physical things as well. Apparently they're training or have trained this AI to look for that, and then can make better diagnosis based on your speech, based on audio input.
Wow.
Kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's
I think
pretty
it's
neat.
healthier. I like that stuff for sure.
What else we got?
I don't know. Here's another one I wanted to throw out there and just get your
Yeah.
guys' thoughts on VR and or AR. So
AR,
virtual
yeah.
reality or augmented reality. And I guess let's start with maybe not the hot take, but the silly take of what's our take on the metaverse?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's coming. I believe this is what was that movie? Ready Player One, was it? It showed like everyone hung out in VR. I don't know if it'll extend to that, but I think at least augmented reality is gonna be a thing. This metaverse continuum and Web 3D or Web 3 rather, along with some augmented reality. I don't know when that'll take off, but I have no doubt we are going to be creating avatars and doing business in virtual space. And I mean, the work from home thing proved we can all, so we're going to meet in a virtual room somewhere, and it won't, I mean, Zoom will be headed up maybe on the world anyway. But yeah, I think this is not a passing fancy. This is kind of, that's my
Yep.
take.
I think so. How I feel about Facebook being the one to lead it all. Somebody has to. I'm always torn when Facebook does things.
Not them.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. Some applications of AR that I actually really liked are basically heads-up displays in cars.
Heck
We've
yeah.
already seen it every now and then with the little mirrors on some of the newer cars down at the bottom. It'll show your speed and everything. But these heads-up displays will highlight parts of the road if you're following
Or you
directions.
incoming things off the
Incoming
road, things
things.
like that.
It'll
Yeah.
measure distances if something's stopped in front of you. It'll tell you where construction zones are, speed limit zones, things like that. That's a pretty cool application of it. That would be pretty neat.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm less enthusiastic, or less. I'm more skeptical that the metaverse and VR is going to be as big a thing. But AR, I definitely do think, and like I say, the car example is a great one. You see it in shows all the time where they have the glasses. And look, Google Glass was made a joke and a punchline when it first came out. But in retrospect, I think they really were onto something. I don't know if the actual hardware, the way it looks, was the way to go, but I'm thinking like Westworld or whatever that, or I'm trying to think of the other movie where it's straight up
So,
glasses, or
yeah,
like Tony Stark glasses in Spider-Man, right? I could
right.
see that because even in like a casual, if I go on a hike in the morning and I put on those glasses and I could look around and just look at a plant and like I don't know if you guys have used Google Lens or the equivalent of it. It'll take a picture and
iPhone has it built in now.
you can search what that plant is, for example, or
Mhm.
that bug, or if it's you're out and about like shopping, you can automatically get pricing info. And you could, dial back how much data you want to get just glancing around, but moving throughout normal life with a little bit extra layers of data, I think would be super helpful and super interesting.
And possible with
Yeah.
Starlink, GPS 3, and things like that. It would actually be functional. Um, I do think they're onto something. Now, getting the gaming community on board with full VR or AR is going to take some work. Because one, I've actually used the Oculus once before, and it was only
Got one.
like a few months ago. Actually, the first time I ever used the Oculus. Little behind there. Graphics are getting better. I can tell they're still
Resolution's
pretty rough.
pretty low, and it's pretty animated
Yeah,
looking, yeah.
it's really trippy. The thing that I did is you take an elevator up and you walk out onto a plank. It's just a built-in thing, and it is pretty unreal.
Yeah.
But to get the gaming community on board, your resolution needs to get a lot better. But then when your resolution gets better, it's the lag. Anybody who is very into gaming and enjoys that, milliseconds of lag will drive them absolutely insane. So
Yeah.
it's going to take a
I don't
while to
know,
grow.
dude. I played a game called Half-Life Alyx, Alyx. They really learned how to use VR, and it is like I don't remember Half-Life when it first came out. It was kind of revolutionary. And I don't know if it'll take off. VR doesn't seem to be grabbing a hold of it very well. They did again for VR, but they did back in the day when they created the first Half-Life. And there is no lag. And you are bouncing around walls and you have to check the magazine on the gun and slide the hammer back before you can shoot. When things are charging it, when it's like, ah! And there's a very real sense of panic when you first play through that thing. I was super impressed by that game. You're moving stuff in the shelf to try to find some ammo so you can hurry up and have something to shoot with. It is a super intense game.
Pretty
Made
neat.
me nauseous pretty quickly. I can only play for about an hour, then I have to stop. And then I have to like, chill for this 4 hours while I'm queasy. But they really figure out how to use it. Now it's still pretty low res, right? 720 by whatever it is on the lift. But it is, yeah. I can't wait till the computing power improves so we can improve the resolution. But that game, I'm telling you, got to try it. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool. And then for anybody out there who isn't sure if they've experienced augmented reality before, just play Pokemon Go. They are one of the
Mhm.
pioneers of augmented reality. The other feature that I actually saw
Don't fall off a
that
cliff doing it, please.
yeah, don't do that. Of augmented reality that's actually pretty handy is Amazon uses it. If you're buying furniture, it'll say, try it out in your room, pull out your phone and you scan the room that it's in. And I used it on the desk that I'm sitting at right now, actually. It puts it right in your room. And it is pretty dang close to scale. All things
That's
considered, it's
awesome.
pretty accurate. It's a very cool
Are
tool.
they're doing something, maybe it's not AR or VR, but they do something kind of like that for clothes, don't they? Where you can
I
sort of
think
take a
so.
picture of yourself and then
Yeah.
it'll throw it on you. Not quite the same thing,
Glasses,
but
same way. You buy online
Yep.
pretty
glasses.
cool.
Yeah. I bought a
Yeah.
DJI drone, and there's a game you can load on it where it does not make it so I put an iPad on for a screen, and you're looking out the lens of the device, right? It flies a drone, but it has an AR feature where it'll set up a racetrack, and it's in the air. You can't see it obviously when you look up with your eyes. There's a racetrack you can follow, and more than one of you can play it at the same time. So you're racing in the air this virtual racetrack, which is augmented reality.
That's pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
as a little tangent, just because I actually have this on the list for tech gifts, We'll save the rest till the end. But since you brought up DJI,
Oh, I got a bunch of theirs too. I love DJI stuff, man.
DJI is, I don't want to say underrated because they're not by the people who know what DJI is, but more people need to pay attention to what DJI is doing. Um, they have anything from a handheld gimbal that holds a phone or a camera, or even has a
one.
built-in camera itself. Their gimbal technology is absolutely insane. I am convinced that if you have one of their gimbals, you could be holding a camera and do a backflip, and it would stay focused on whatever you're pointing at, and it wouldn't even skip a beat. You'd have no
Or
idea when
you.
you're watching video playback. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
wouldn't
you could
matter.
run and it stays perfectly still.
Yep. Their drones are scary easy to fly. And I tell this to anybody who flies drones because I have one of the big ones, the Phantom 4 DJIs.
That's big.
If you can fly the little $30 drones that you can get off Amazon, which are very difficult to fly, if you can make it through a room without crashing once, then you can fly a high-end drone like DJI. And DJI has a lot. They have a whole range, anything from a few $100s with a drone, and it's still fantastic, to a few $1,000s, and they're a game changer. So for tech gifts, almost anything that DJI has is a safe bet.
You started this. So I'm going to continue on this one. Did you see the DJI
All right.
Avata? So they got a new drone. It's got enclosed protected propellers, so it's designed to actually bump into things. You combine that with the DJI goggles, the edition. So now you got full VR goggles looking at how anybody does this. I think I would just hurl if that happened to me. But they got goggles on, so you're looking out the drone, and the thing is designed to fly down areas. And instead of the usual dual stick configuration, they've got a handheld device that you're tilting in the air, pushing forward, pulling
right.
back, and tilting. I forget what it's called, but it's a new controller that they have. So, and it's got like turtle mode, where if it senses it's going to hit something, it just kind of locks up. That was it. Turtle mode was if it falls on after you hit it, and it's got to ejects it, flips it back over, so you can take off again and keep going. The DJI Avata, AVATA. Look it up. I was on my list to talk about gifts, so that it's a cool looking drone.
That's way cool.
I think we're there. I think we're in the segment because the other sort of transition that we talked about with VR is, and take it as you will, Meta, Facebook released a new Oculus, and what are they calling it again? It is. I'm just looking at it. It is the Oculus. I'm sorry, the Meta Quest Pro. I guess we're calling it Quest right now, but it is $1,500, which is way more expensive than the other version of their. Yeah. I want to say that the Oculus VR headset, their go-to one from last year is like $200-$300. I think it was one of the most popular Christmas gifts in general. They were at all the stores. But anyway, so something to think about if you really want to dive deep. I don't know when it's pre-order. I don't know when it's going to be released, but $1,500. I don't know what the difference between $300 and $1,500 really gets you in a VR headset, but there's another little tech gift to look up for. And related also into gaming, and Derik, I know I don't know if you've gotten the emails already, because I know you're into this, and it caught my eye, was custom Xbox controllers. I got the email today. You can fully customize every aspect of the Pro Elite controller.
Can I make it bigger, these giant hands of mine, so it doesn't hurt after trying to do this for 2 hours?
That's pretty neat.
So there's another fun gift idea.
Yeah, cool. That's always made me laugh about Xbox, is the controller is almost as much as the console.
$150.
Yeah. Ouch. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
So one of mine kind of hybrids for technology, top tech, and a gift is just all things smart home. I think it is pretty neat to see that that's where things are going. Is, it started with the home devices and the locks, and now it's refrigerators, ovens, stovetops, you name
smokers,
washer, dryer.
Yep, all of it. It is pretty cool. It's kind of interesting because I have quite a bit of smart home stuff here and there. I have a lot of Google Homes because they're $30 and the kids love them. So they've got them in their rooms and everything like that. Um, how useless your house is when the Wi-Fi goes out is my biggest issue. All of a sudden, you have the dumbest house in the neighborhood because nothing quite works quite right, and that goes especially for the smart light bulbs. Being able to say, "Hey, Google, turn on the lights," things like that is very handy. But if you have Google turn off the lights and then the Wi-Fi goes out, you don't get to turn that light back on. It just
Even if you switch it off, back on with the switch, it
no,
doesn't
it
work.
doesn't come back on.
Oh,
If it's been long enough, every now and then you might get lucky, and when you turn the light switch on, it'll come back on. But for the most part, no, that light's off forever. So there are some major drawbacks, but smart home stuff is pretty great, and it's always an easy go-to. The Google Homes, the Echo Dots, things like that are pretty cheap gifts that almost anybody can use. Even if they don't have other smart home stuff, you can never go wrong with a Google Home. It's a pretty handy tool.
yeah. I've got
The
my
other thing that I
80-year-old
saw that was
mother. She's plugging in a power device, and she says, Amazon or Alexa, turn the light on. I better mute mine. And
yeah.
I struggled with it. She called me because it was not fun for her, but yeah, she got it working. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
The other thing that I saw that was totally superfluous, I can never say that word, useless, but pretty cool, was they have these little curtain rod rollers, and you put them on your curtain rods, and they connect to your smart home devices, so you can say, "Google, open the
Oh,
curtains."
nice.
Totally useless, but if you wanna feel kinda awesome, I think it might be
Yeah,
worth it. Very
yeah.
cool. It's totally
Welcome
just an
home, and
ego
everything
boost.
opens up,
Come
lights
in and
come
say, "Hey,
on.
Google." They also have
Yeah,
light sensors on them, so when it gets super bright, if the sun's dropping in the window, it'll close the curtains automatically for you,
that's
and you
awesome.
can schedule it and everything like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Reminds me of one I heard of. I mean, we all know about like the smart thermostats now that will kind of learn when best to regulate heat or air. But one that I heard about a couple years ago were smart air vents. So the actual vent that you have in your
Mm.
floor, your ceiling has a little motor on it, so it'll open or close it based on the room, based on exactly what kind of
Temperature
temperature you
sensors
want.
around. That's
Yeah,
smart.
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
But
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be a Between the Bytes episode unless we brought up cybersecurity. So the quick tangent is you put all this junk in your house. Sorry, junk's not the right word. I also have lots of smart stuff. But real quick, James, what is the security risk of these things and how could we
Uh,
maybe overcome it?
yeah, it's a security risk, unfortunately. Every one of those devices could be hacked, right? And probably will be. I'll discover a vulnerability in one of them at some point. So unless you're keeping up with the software, the firmware on it, like you're updating that thing pretty periodically, yeah, you have the potential for that to be an attack point in your personal network. So if you're technical enough, you can set up a guest wireless in your house. That's what I did. I set up a wireless just for my IoT devices. Um, Short of that, I gotta think of a better answer. I don't have any good ones.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think with the
you said the one, keep the
yeah.
OS up to date
Yeah,
So with like the
and
Google Home, have the Google Home app, and it gives you that option, check for updates, and it'll update all your systems. Definitely.
don't ignore the pop-up when it says update the firmware. You gotta take the
Yeah.
time to click yes.
yeah,
Guilty.
Now, I'm forgetting, was it Amazon that had the sidewalk feature that came out?
yeah.
That was an
That was
auto
Amazon.
opt-in.
Yeah,
I'd probably opt out of that. That
it's
that seemed
full
like a
opt-in for the
huge
record.
vulnerability.
Yeah,
You can go into settings and they call it sidewalk, I believe,
yeah.
and turn that off. But basically, it lets people walking by use. It was kind of complex, and they didn't explain it very well. But they can use the power of your smart devices to help their service, basically help their internet. And
It provides internet to them. Yeah,
it's a communal internet, which sounds really nice, but also at the time it seems a little sketchy.
I agree. But I
And
did
it
like
is an
the
auto
Amazon
opt-in.
Echoes. The at least the newer ones can be wireless extenders, wireless network. If you have the Eero mesh network,
Mhm.
automatically work with those. And the new ones have motion detection in them, the fourth gen ones. So my mom actually said, Alexa asked her if she wanted the lamp to turn off automatically when no one was in the room. She's like, okay, and then turn on when you come in the room. But she said it turns on during the day too. So she walks in the room and during the day, the lamp comes on. And I'm like, what? So I looked it up and they've got motion detection built into the fourth gen Echoes and Dots.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah, the Google Home, I have the display one in my room. And it will. When I walk into the room, it'll sense it and it'll bring up my calendar and stuff. or if I turn off the lights, it'll sense that and it'll dim the screen and it'll switch it to a night mode. So
Nice.
Google, Amazon, that kind of home stuff is always a great gift. And like I said, even if they don't have any other smart home stuff there, it is pretty great. When I first got the Google Home, my kids, I'd say catch them. Obviously, I didn't care, but they weren't sure at first. I'd walk into the room and they're like whispering questions to Google, asking it to define stuff or just asking it random questions. So if you have a kid that asks a lot of questions, get him a Google Home and he can ask Google all day. And then you can also
and looking at a 6-year-old search history of Google is hilarious.
it is pretty funny.
How
And
tall
then
are
you can
giraffes?
also ask both
know,
Alexa or Google what they think about each other, and their answers are actually pretty clever.
Mhm.
That's fun.
The other thing that I love about the smart the speakers, especially when I'm cleaning the house, you can set up a mesh speaker system and play to all the
Yeah.
speakers at the same time. So if you're walking through the house and cleaning it, whatever music or podcast or anything you're listening to follows you, and that's pretty handy.
I'll do that at Christmas time. Put it on throughout the whole house.
Mhm.
But I don't have a 6-year-old, but I do have a wife who likes to test what she will and will not answer. So she's asking all these, I don't know what the right word is, rated R questions
Pushing
to
questions.
Alexa. Respond. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
pretty funny.
You
So
can go down some
I
pretty
look at my list
serious rabbit
sometimes. I'm like,
holes.
my Alexa list.
Yeah.
Hope no one
What
else sees that.
other tech gifts we have out there? One that I saw, what you guys think, is a USB rechargeable lighter. You can get them off Amazon for as low as there was one like $7, and it
Cool.
uses a little electric arc instead of an actual lighter.
Yeah.
Which I saw that immediately after. Again, further proof that we know they don't listen, but they have to be listening. Is sometimes how you feel. I couldn't find a lighter in my house that wasn't empty, and then I see an Amazon ad for an electric lighter that would never go out. So they're
That's
not
awesome.
listening, but they might be.
Yeah. That's just too coincidental. Happens to me too often.
Mhm.
So I'm a big audio guy. So for me, I love all the headphones, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm getting some Bose on now. I think I mentioned this in a previous one. I bought a set of the Bose 700s headphones when they were on sale at the last Amazon Day, Prime Day, and they I'm like, yeah, the noise canceling, it's pretty cool. Whatever, you can turn off the noise canceling so you can actually hear people. In fact, it'll amplify people around, so you can keep them on and still hear people. But the coolest part was I was driving an RV. I rented an RV and driving at 70 miles an hour on the freeway in a small RV. It's just like this, wind tunnel noise everywhere you go. And I put those on to save me. And I'm like, I placed a phone call. I'm like, can you hear the background? 3 different conversations I had with people. No one could tell I was in a noisy environment. And so there's a little bit of echo in your voice, but the noise completely gone.
That's
That impressed me. Yeah. Another one I ran across was called made by a company called Fire, and it was called Calmer. So headphones that sit in everything else, the earbuds these days, flatten the noise level. It's supposed to attenuate annoying noises. So for the techno anything in the 2K to 8K range, it's reduced. So all the background noise and children screaming and dogs barking and all that gets reduced, so you can better focus. Also allow you to be calmer throughout the day. And even one person who said it helped with their tinnitus. I don't know if that's true or not, but
That's pretty cool.
so yeah.
Small thing I would add on the audio theme, if you're looking for a gift for yourself or another professional in your life, it's 2022. We're still very virtual. We do lots of online meetings. Get yourself an external mic. Do yourself a favor.
And your
It's
listeners
just-
a favor.
Yep. And we all got one.
Oh, you muted yourself. Gary
You
can't hear
muted
you.
yourself.
Am I still muted?
Oh,
you
no, I
sound
think
far
you
away
unplugged your
now.
mic.
You switch.
Unplugged it.
Oh, okay.
Now you're back.
Get yourself an external mic. It's worth it.
Okay, thank you. So
Go ahead.
that's okay. I was using switch for a sec. So cameras. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Polaroid. Now I'm old enough to remember the original Polaroid. When you take a picture and it would come out, you'd have the finished film already developed, and it wasn't digital back then. And there was this, if you shook it, it would work better, right? You shake it would faster. So they're making a comeback actually. Last year for Christmas, my granddaughter from her parents got a film that produced instant results. Right, it's something you could print it out right there on the spot. Well, Polaroid with their Instamatics again, the Polaroid originals are on them, and it's the same deal. You take a picture, and out comes the finished product already. I was like, wow, this is. I could just held on to my ancient tech a long time ago.
That was exactly what I was actually going to bring up. So well
Was
played.
cool.
Polaroid, their stuff is fantastic, and I have actually quite a collection of old Polaroids. I even have one that's the accordion one that came out and has the
Yeah.
cube light that goes on top.
Wow.
It's a Polaroid Now is the next one. Yeah, Polaroid Now. They have some pretty cool phone apps that partner with it, but you get the film cartridge, you open it, it smells exactly the same. I do remember that. It's opening up the old film cartridge. It comes in the tinfoil looking bag,
Yeah.
metallic bag.
Wow.
It's all the same. Film's pretty cheap. It's about $2 a photo, which for a Polaroid is pretty great. I do a lot of photography, and what I like about a Polaroid is you don't get to
Get the
edit
results.
anything. It's all as is, and that's what makes it kind of special. Is I have a Polaroid of my kids, and the second I took the picture, my youngest just starts to walk away. So two of them are smiling, the other one's walking away. Easily one of my favorite pictures. Because I only took one and I wasn't going to retake it. I actually think that was my last photo on that cartridge anyway, so I couldn't take one even if I wanted to. So it's one of my favorites. They also have a scanner, and I have that. I forget what it's called, but it looks like this little tower, and you put your phone on top, and it's got 3 different cameras, and it scans the screen of your phone. So you pick a picture, put it on top, it scans the picture, and then prints it out as a Polaroid.
That's cool.
Does it exceptionally well. It just adds a different vibe to it. The other thing you can do is you can create a collage. So if I had a landscape of something in Yellowstone, the Grand Prismatic, the big color pool, and you can use the app and it split it into 3 pictures. So I put the one picture on the phone and it split it into 3 prints that go next to each other to get the whole Grand Prismatic there. It's a really cool toy.
That is cool.
So yeah, Polaroid's made a big comeback and their stuff's pretty great.
Wild. All right. Well, we would be an episode. We talked about some Apple products, right? So of course we talked about the iPhone. Get the wave on from Derik. The iPhone 14s, they're out. The new M2 chips are coming in Macs, right? That's a new thing. And I saw a new one I hadn't seen before called a Mac Studio, which was a upgraded full power Mac designed for video editors, that kind of a thing.
Oh, wow.
You have to take a loan out to buy it, but but it was, the specs on it were really cool. I think it's super powerful. So for you Apple fans out there are definitely some cool new toys coming out.
Yep, that's pretty great. That being said, don't anybody buy a significant other the Apple Home speaker. That's just mean. Don't do it. I'm pretty sure, at least when they first came out, I think it's still the same. It will only play Apple Music. You don't get to listen to Spotify or anything like that. And nobody, even the biggest Apple fans, I haven't met anybody that actually listens to Apple Music. And I know a lot of iPhone users out there.
Classic Apple move.
That is a classic Apple move. So don't bother with that. But yeah, the earbuds, I'm a huge fan of. The Pro set of earbuds, the noise canceling is easily on par with Bose, which in my opinion still has hands down the best noise canceling out there. And their other feature, the same microphones that they use to cancel out the noise, they have another setting where you can hear everything around you. So I think the example I gave was, I worked in a warehouse for a while. So you had headphones in because it's a 12 to 14 hour shift, but you need to hear when forklifts and things like that are near you. So it plays it in with your music, but it actually turns it down. So it's not blowing your ears out anytime something like that happens. So it's a really cool feature. The new ones, they claim that they've doubled the noise cancellation. I'd be interested to see if that's true because they are not cheap. But yeah, lots of Apple products out there.
Yeah. All right. A couple others
All right.
I thought were cool. There's now these water bottles that have UV light on the top. So it's sterilizing your bottle or your water. Yeah. LARQ, LARQ was the name of the product. Had a UVC light at the top. I saw that Oblio, whatever it's called, has a wireless charger now. A bucket, you just drop your phone in there. It's wireless, and it's a UV light, so it's also killing all the bacteria in your phone that's developed throughout the day. Those are pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Then one more I saw was called Car Lock. It was a Car Lock app. So you plug this device into your car, and then you can track your car on your phone. So if you're in an area where it's sketchy or if it's an expensive car and you're worried about it, and it'll do things like it'll look for unusual vibrations. It'll let you know if your car gets started or if it's moved. It can provide insights on your car's battery level, and then there's a GPS. If it doesn't still, and you can track the thing back down too. So that was pretty cool. It's a subscription, of course, but that one was pretty cool, I thought. For the kids in the group, I'm sure it's not inexpensive, but the Lego Technique. I know one of us here likes Legos. It's like a tank, but it flips over into a different car on the other side, and it's got suspension and everything. And there's an app you control it with. So Lego's coming a little more tech savvy. Those were cool gifts as well. Gift ideas.
I like that a lot.
I guess the last little thing I'll plug on that note, James, if you haven't seen like the Mario themed Lego sets, it's a great comboing back to our kind of bringing this first full circle. It's a little bit AR with a Lego set because some of the pieces have a little scanner. You got a little Mario who has a little scanner in his feet that as you play with him, jumping him across the Lego sets and landing on certain pieces, he will light up and do different sounds. So if you and it also scans the color. So if you have him set on a red thing, he'll be like like he's burning in lava. Water, he'll make a swimming noise.
Nice.
So that's a fun gift for your kids. Just as a plug there for Lego. Love Legos here, and also a good tie-in with the AR and tech.
Yeah. So there was also speaking of Mario, there was Mario Kart now has another version, Mario Kart Live, home circuit, where you got a screen and you get a cart and you race the thing around and you can see through the cart.
It makes a course out of your house.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah,
there are quite a few AR racing themed toys that are coming out. I have seen where in the app you can do things like shoot different things like you do in Mario Kart at the other car, and it affects it in real time.
Oh wow, nice.
So little things like that with the racetracks that you set up.
That's cool.
And there was another one that I saw that were these little remote control trucks that actually had a paddle. It wasn't on a phone, but they had a big laser pointer at the top, and you chase the other trucks around and try and shoot them. It's laser tag, but with remote control trucks. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's quite cool. Nice.
All right. Any other tech gifts as we're wrapping things up near the end here?
I'll just touch on the health and fitness area for a little while. I saw that both Sonicare and Oral-B come out with a toothbrush. It has an app, and they're gamifying it. So as you brush your teeth, it shows you your teeth get cleaner as you go, and it tells you like where you may have missed or you do more work. So you're gamifying brush teeth. Maybe not for you, but I think for kids, this could be a big advantage if you have struggled with your kids getting done. And then I saw, wearables are being a thing, of course, but there's a new one where you put these liners in the soles of your shoes, and it tracks, like for runners, it's got GPS. It works with connects with your mobile phone. It shows a kind of like your cadence, your foot strike, your balance, step length, like all that stuff that runners look for. It's all built into this NURVV, Nerve Run. And they're actually inserts that go into the soles of your shoes. You charge them up, and then you run with these things on. So that's pretty cool.
I like that a lot. I remember Nike's first wearable, the little shoe inserts. Do you remember that little running things that went straight into actual Nike shoes?
It was like just a little chip competitor, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just a little chip that you actually put in the sole of your shoe. It didn't give you the stride length and everything like that, though. So this was 6 or 7 years ago. Nike's evolved past it now. They don't do it anymore, but that stuff's pretty neat.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Good tech list.
Yeah, I think so. I think we got a good list going. So yeah, we will start to wrap this episode up. Again, we're doing live every Tuesday. So next Tuesday will be our last one for this month. And we are talking about more advanced cybersecurity methods. So we'll go a little bit deeper into what we talked about the first week of October. And yeah, we'll dig into that a little bit more. Outside of that, Between the Bytes, we have weekly podcast episodes. So check us out on Spotify, Amazon, or not Amazon, Apple. We're on there now. Or Anchor, Google, anywhere you can find a podcast, we should be listed there. So yeah, check us out there. And thank you again, James and Gary, for joining me. And we will catch everybody next week.
Take care, everyone. Enjoy your tech gifts.
See ya.
Wow.